and you think American politics is messed up. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. I was going to do something else there, and then I changed my mind. Yeah, you think American politics is messed up. Back in 2012, one Tom Watson stands in Parliament and says the following.
The evidence file used to convict paedophile Peter Wrighton, if it still exists, contains clear intelligence of a widespread paedophile ring. One of its members boasts of his links to a senior aide of a former Prime Minister, who says he could smuggle indecent images of children from abroad.
Tom Watson stands in the well of Parliament and says, I have evidence that there is a pedophile ring. And not just a pedophile ring of very important media and political elites, including one previous Prime Minister. Now you can imagine if an MP is standing in the well and he's saying that there's a pedophile ring, that the cops are forced to look into the fact that there's a pedophile ring. I mean, after all, MP said it. Imagine a member of Congress saying, I have evidence that there is a pedophile ring. This spawned Operation Midland. Operation Midland took about 18 months. Man, within that 18 months, doing searches, doing police raids, questions, they found bubkas. What they did do is tarnish the reputation of various people in the UK, because you can imagine at the point where you're being accused of pedophilia, that's a problem. One man died, Lord Britain, and Watson comes out and points out that guy was a pedophile. Watson's source is one Carl Beech. Carl Beech was convicted Monday of 12 counts of perverting the course of justice and 1 count of fraud. He lied. He made it up. He lied. And he tarnished the reputation of various peoples in Britain doing so. The person who gave his lies air on the well of Parliament, Tom Watson. Tom Watson ruined lives. Tom Watson accused people of pedophilia and used what essentially was lying from a guy off the street in order to accuse various people in the UK, some of which his political enemies, of pedophilia. Tom Watson needs to resign. Beech is going to prison. He ruined lives. And if Beech is going to prison for ruining lives, and his lies were that important, or you're going to convict him and put him in prison, the person who gave those lies life was Tom Watson. Tom Watson still has his job. Tom Watson is a Blairite that has been giving Jeremy Corbyn a hard time, even though he's supposed to be his number 2. Beyond all that point, beyond the politics and everything else, Tom Watson was involved in ruining people's lives by accusing them of pedophilia using the ravings of a convicted liar and fraudster. How does Tom Watson still have his job? This guy's going to prison. How does Tom Watson still have his job? Tom Watson needs to resign. Tom Watson also comes out and says, look, the police asked me to talk to Beech because Beech had a story and he didn't want to tell me. So the police asked me to convince him that the police will take his story seriously. The police said we have no record of that conversation that Tom Watson is talking about. We have no idea what he's talking about. It sounds like Tom Watson might be lying in order to cover his ass to make it not look like the conversation with Beech came first. That's a goddamn shame. A, that he made it up and that he lied about it. B, that you would just take a person and ruin a person's life by randomly saying the guy's a pedophile without necessarily knowing whether that was true. And even if you thought justice was not necessarily being seen until you kind of put your foot on the scale, there's still somewhat of a problem with you calling somebody a pedophile, which he did do. This is BBC. So, let's see. Information from Mr. Watson had generated several investigations after he claimed in Parliament on October 21st that secret files relating to different cases could show that there was a powerful pedophile ring linked to Parliament and Number 10. In November 2014, detectives launched the disastrous Operation Midland, which spent 18 months looking into his claims of abuse and murder, conducting raids of suspected homes and interviews under caution along the way. Speaking to the BBC, Watson said Beech had come to his office in Parliament on 8th of July 2014, which was 3 months before the start of several lengthy interviews with the Metropolitan Police. He spoke to him first, then there were interviews with the police. Watson comes out and says, well, the police told me to talk to the guy. The police is saying, we have no idea what you're talking about. We had no conversation with Mr. Watson about this. It sounds like Watson is trying to cover his ass. It sounds like Watson's trying to cover his ass. Let's keep going. My job was to convince him that the police will listen to his story. The police asked me to reassure him if they'd take him seriously. When asked by Mr. Watson, who did you talk to? If somebody from the police department came to you and said, Mr. Watson, could you please talk to Beech? Because Beech is concerned that nobody's going to take his story seriously. If that is true, Mr. Watson, who did you talk to? Watson said he couldn't recall. I couldn't recall the person who came to my office to ask me to talk to Beech, to tell him that the police will listen to his bogus, ridiculous story about a pedophile ring. And to be honest, it's not necessarily insanely ridiculous because we have something like that going on in the United States that's actually real. The Epstein case is real. Epstein is a real pedophile. Epstein does have powerful contacts all throughout the United States, in the world, to be honest, including in Britain. And to go further, Charlie Rose was on Epstein's black book. So at the very least, you could say that something is going on, and just because it's happening in one case, it might be happening in others, meaning there's gravity to it in states. Beech made this out of whole cloth. Watson bought it. No investigation, no nothing. Just accusing people of pedophilia. They wasted the resources of Britain. It marred the reputation of several people within the British society. Beech is going to prison. Watson is still a pain in Jeremy Corbyn's ass. Watson needs to resign. There's no politics in this. He's ruined lives. Watson needs to resign. Thanks all.